Thanks for joining me back here at Flying S Models. In this part 2 of the 172nd Airfix Skyhawk A-4Q, we're going to complete the build by walking through all the painting, decaling, and weathering steps. If you missed part 1 of the build that got us to this point, or the kit review for that matter, make sure to check out those videos as well. Here's a look at the completed model. And as you can see, the Airfix kit builds into a really nice model. They've really been stepping up their game recently with some great kits in 1/72nd scale, and I've recently completed a few of them. Most recently, their excellent little P-51 Mustang. Be sure to take a look at that when you get a second. I've been getting some good feedback on the videos, and I really appreciate all that. You guys have been providing some good suggestions as well. I also appreciate those that have subscribed to the channel, and if you haven't yet, be sure to do that. I'm trying to address some of the suggestions I've been getting in the videos as I go forward. Let's get to painting and finishing this little Skyhawk now. When I was happy with the filling and sanding of all the seams and had rescribed all the lost panel lines, I airbrushed to me a flat black along all of the panel lines. No real need to be super neat here. This is just to add a little depth to the light gold gray top coat that I'll be applying next. For the light gold gray, I switched over to AK's excellent real color range, so I didn't have to create a custom mix using Tamiya acrylics. This was sprayed on in very light coats until the entire topside had been finished. After that, I added a little more thinner and then mixed in a few drops of AK's Insignia White in order to lighten up the base gold gray. This was airbrushed along the inside of each of the panels to create some initial weathering effects. Don't be afraid to go a little lighter than I did. After you put down the clear coats, the differences in the colors will be a lot less noticeable. To add some initial weathering effects, I use oil paint supplied right out of the tube and directly over a coat of white spirits that I laid down on the model's flat coat. I started with raw umber to give a little more dirt in the ditches, and then came back with a white to bring out some of the high spots or what would be faded areas inside of particular panels on the model. After the oil paint is down for a minute or so, I just come back with a clean brush, and dipping it in white spirits, I remove excess oil paints until I achieve the particular weathered look I'm after. I came back in and masked off the demarcation line between the gold gray and the white undersurfaces and switched back over to Tamiya White to spray those. I then taped off the inside of the leading edges for the slats and sprayed those with Tamiya Flat Red. Then I moved on to the inside of the speed brake areas and did the same thing. I followed this up by masking off the rudder and elevators in order to paint the blue and white stripes for the Argentinian A-4Q. Airfix does provide decals for these, but I really didn't want to fool around with trying to get those decals to settle down into the recess areas of the rudder, and painting the control surfaces just looks a lot better to me. With all the base colors down, I sealed everything in using AK's excellent gauzy gloss coat. This also provided a glossy finish to set up the application of the decals. The Airfix decals are really quite nice and went down without any issues. When the decals were down and dry, I came back in with AK's panel line wash and added that to the panel lines just to give a little more depth. With all the panel line washes down, I came back in with a coat of all-clad flat clear to seal everything in and give the model an overall matte appearance. With the flat coat down, I could now turn my attention onto finishing up the final bits. This included the landing gear, the gear door, the speed brakes, and the machine guns. The Airfix Armada decals come as a single piece, so thus had to be cut and installed in sections since I was modeling the Skyhawk with the speed brakes open. The kit doesn't include the loop antenna for the tail that was specific to the Argentinian Skyhawk, so I had to scratch build those using a little bit of copper wire. I also masked and airbrushed the canopy and installed that. I created a canopy support jack with a little bit of stretch sprue, installed that with a couple drops of super glue, and then painted it a red and white stripe just to add some visual interest. And that pretty much wrapped up the 1/72nd Airfix A-4Q Skyhawk. It's a really great little kit and makes for a nice build. There's a lot of detail in the model itself that can be brought out with careful painting and finishing techniques. Again, I appreciate you checking out this video build. I hope you found it useful and informative. We'll see you next time.